I recently visited an oddity store that sold glass eyes, and I suddenly realized that I never did a search for glass eyes in the newspaper archives. Not wanting to miss out on a good time, I began reading articles about glass eye con artists, a glass eye for a horse, and other assorted weird tales. The glass eye con was quite popular in the 1950s and would be pulled off by two men. First, a well-dressed gentleman would enter a store, look at the goods, and then quickly put a handkerchief to his eye. Next, he would look around on the floor for a moment and then tell the store clerk that he lost his glass eye. He would then offer the clerk a $100 reward for the glass eye and say he was staying at an upscale hotel. Shortly afterward, another man would come into the store, look around, and find the glass eye. He would show it to the clerk, and of course, the clerk wanted to claim the $100 reward. However, the finder would refuse to give up the glass eye without getting paid a finder's fee, and so the clerk would offer him half the money. The finder would leave with the $50, and the clerk would discover that there was no glass-eyed gentleman at the hotel, and he would be stuck with a substandard glass eye worth about $5 to $10. Co-writer of The Silver King, Henry Herman, was reported in 1914 to have taken a cabbie to a dinner party. The author, however, was completely broke and could not pay the cabbie for the ride. When they were close to the author's destination, the cabbie whipped his horse. Herman let out a cry and jumped out of the cabbie with his glass eye in hand. The terrified cabbie, thinking he had just knocked someone's eye out of its socket, rushed off into the night without asking for the fare. While glass eye cons were popular, there was another dark trade involving glass eyes: smuggling. According to a rumor published in 1910, a glass-eyed gentleman frequently traveled to Europe for business. In addition, he did a bit of gem trading on the side to supplement his income. To avoid customs, he would place 2 or 3 diamonds in the cavity of his glass eye. Then, when he returned to the States, his employer would pay him half the duty saved on the smuggling job. Glass-eyed criminals weren't the only ones written about in the old newspapers. There were also reports on people who lost their glass eyes in unsuspecting ways. For example, a Kansas man, George Barker, lost his glass eye while hunting for raccoons. 18 years later, in 1939, another man was fishing in a creek near one of Barker's old hunting grounds and found a glass eye. Barker was quick to claim it. W.T. Nelson of Massachusetts, described in a 1930 article as a well-known local character, lost his glass eye while being arrested for drunkenness. As fate would have it, a boy found it and began using the glass eye as a target in the game of marbles. He won 500 marbles with the glass eye and was not quite willing to give up the lucky charm. Nelson had to buy back his glass eye from the boy with a piece of silver. Next, we find a slew of cases of wrongful looking. There were numerous reports in the past of men getting into fights over the glance of a glass eye. For example, in 1902, James Reynolds was traveling by railroad when a cinder got into his good eye. As he tried to get the cinder out of his eye, his glass eye pointed towards a woman sitting by her husband. Reynolds squinted as he tried to get the cinder out. His lid closed over his glass eye, and the woman across the aisle thought he was winking at her. His lid blinked again and again over his glass eye, until the woman's husband grabbed an umbrella and began beating Reynolds over the head with it. Only after the umbrella broke did the other passengers break up the assault and inform the enraged husband that the man he had attacked had a glass eye. Finally, in 1908, it was reported that Ike Smalley had a collection of expensive glass eyes. Ike had lost an eye while getting into a fight for his brother-in-law. He bought a basic $20 glass eye, but quickly became obsessed with them. Being wealthy, he began buying glass eyes of all sorts. As an acquaintance told the newspapers, he bought light blues, dark blues, browns, hazels, and all kinds of combinations, all of which diverted attention from his live eye. He used his artificial eyes like an English duke would his collection of Stark pins, and soon had a different glass eye for every day in the week and 2 or 3 for Sunday. But this was simply not enough for Ike. He had a glass eye artist create eyes with pictures on them instead of a pupil and iris. According to Ike's acquaintance, he had a velvet-lined leather case with 24 eyes in it. There were fish, game, flies, elk's heads, steamships, yachts in full sail, bulldogs, insects, actresses, an automobile, a monogram, and a lot of plain eyes of different colors. And that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this video a like. And while you're at it, subscribe to Stranger Go to keep up with the latest videos covering our strange history.